Quick question for you woke ideologues who are making Canada such a better country by welcoming hundreds of thousands of people in a year from Afghanistan, Palestine, Iraq. Are you familiar with the laws are in these countries regarding the LGBTQ community? You woke ideologues who are so empathetic, understanding, and making this country a more beautiful cultural mosaic every day? Because I've done some digging, and did you know that in these Middle Eastern countries where Canada is now allowing hundreds of thousands of people to pour in every year, it's illegal. If a man is caught sleeping with another man, it's a minimum 10-year prison sentence. That doesn't sound very in line with your woke ideology, yet you continue to insist that hundreds of thousands of these people be welcomed into Canada. And in many cases, the 10-year prison sentence is the most lenient you'll get off. In a lot of cases, these people wound up in, I'm not going to go into detail, but in much more brutal situations than 10 years in prison. There are also many cases in these countries where if you criticize their God, if you criticize Allah, minimum 10-year prison sentence. And in many cases, the results are much worse than a prison sentence. And you may wonder, well, how are women treated in these countries? I'm sure the woke ideologues are just looking out for the women and making sure that women are treated fantastically. Oh no, it turns out in these countries, women aren't allowed to leave the house unless they're either accompanied by or have written permission from a man. The ahistoric bumbling of the woke ideologues in Canada is going to be the downfall of this country. Demographics are destiny. They continue to insist on allowing hundreds of thousands of people from these countries with wildly different worldviews, wildly different cultures come to Canada, and we're seeing the results play out every goddamn day. Anybody who lived in Canada for their entire life knows that over the past 10 years, the transformation in this country since Justin Trudeau was elected and insisted on allowing 8 million people into the country in under a decade with his rainbow-colored socks for the betterment of Canada. Crime rates have absolutely skyrocketed. In under a decade, crimes against women are up over 80%. That doesn't sound very liberal to me. Violent crimes are up 70%. Petty crimes up over 100%. For the first time in history, over 50% of Canadians say they do not feel safe on a day-to-day basis. And I can attest, the neighborhood that I walk in, you can't walk more than 5 feet without seeing a crackhead. Liberals continue to insist we make this country worse and worse and worse so that they can feel good about themselves, so that they can virtue signal and say, look at how good a person I am. I want hundreds of thousands of Afghanis coming in every year. The funny thing is, when Canadians become a minority, the woke ideologues are the ones who are going to pay for it first. You think these people are friendly to your LGBTQ community? Get your head out of your ass. It's unbelievable. And by the way, in these governments, because everybody on the left, if you start talking about immigration and saying the fact that we're allowing 1.5 million people into the country, same time we're only building 220,000 houses in the year 2025. This is pure insanity. We already have a housing crisis. How can you possibly invite 1.3 million more people in than houses that are being built? Not to mention the insane demographic shifts that we're seeing in Canada. If you mention the fact that in Afghanistan, their entire government, not a single white person. Iraq, their entire government, not a single white person. India, their entire government, not a single white person. But if I point out the fact that in Canada, we now have over 22 Indian representatives alone. We have over 10 representatives from the Middle East. At the current trajectory, white Canadians will be a minority in their own government within the next 25 years. 25 years. We're not talking about a long period of time. We're talking 25 years. But I get yelled at as being a racist or a xenophobe for pointing that out. These governments don't have a single white representative. We have now 40 minority representatives in Canada. But if you point this out, you are called the racist or the hater. Conservative Canadians, we need to wake up and stop being gaslit by these liberal, ahistoric, know-nothings. They know nothing. They know nothing on the research of what happens when a society becomes as heterogeneous as the Canadian society is. They know nothing. And we can point at statistic after statistic after statistic, housing prices having exploded. And excess of 70,000 Canadians a year due to not being able to get the healthcare that they need. Free speech in this country under absolute attack, but they don't care. They don't care. Their ideology trumps everything. You can tell them, you can list off a million statistics indicating how much worse. The CPI exploding, 7.1 unemployment in Canada, the most of any G7 country, 22% unemployment among youth males in Canada. You can point all of this out. It's in one ear, out the other to a woke ideologue. It does absolutely nothing. Look, we re-elected fucking the Liberals after the past 10 years of Justin Trudeau. These people are never going to get it. They're never going to get it. Conservative Canadians need to start organizing and organizing quickly because we don't have much time. Mark Carney wants to continue to allow 1.5 million new people into the country every year. Now, fantastic for him, and Brookfield Asset Management gets him rich as hell, going just according to the Century Plan with the WF and Davos. But do you think they give a shit about the Canadian people, about those of us who have ancestors who fought valiantly at Vimy Ridge, World War II? You think this is the country that our ancestors were fighting for? The answer is fuck no. But we need to start battling back. We need to get in the streets. We need to get loud because the Liberals know absolutely nothing. They know they are ahistoric. There's no doubt about it. They're ahistoric. But I will give them credit for one thing. They organize and they get in the streets. We need to start doing the same thing because in under a decade, in under 5 years, if we continue at these current immigration trajectories, this country, it's literally going to be gone. When white Canadians are a minority in our own country, the demographics are destitute. We already have 22 Indians in our parliament. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be any Indians, any Middle Easterners in our parliament. We live in a democracy, it's great. But this flood is ridiculous. 1.5 million people in a year? That's goddamn insanity. That's an invasion sponsored by your government. And I'm seeing all these massive protests across the UK, across Australia. I organized a protest this weekend in Parliament. About 50 people showed up. It seems that so many Canadians are asleep at the wheel as to what exactly is going on in this country. Conservative Canadians need to wake up, unite together. Otherwise, the Canada that our ancestors fought for, that we know and love, is going to be gone, and it's going to be gone for. Imagine how much this country has transformed in the past decade. Another even 3 years of these rates, what the hell it's going to look like here. Imagine. It's insanity what's going on. Wake up. Please like, share, subscribe, join, become a member. If you're interested in supporting, liking, sharing really helps. If you're watching on TikTok, make sure you're following on YouTube, youtube.com/@FightForCanada2025. Because I'm over 17,000 followers on TikTok, and the Canadian government is not a big fan of dissidents. They're now, after 2.5 years, looking to put some new hate speech laws in, which I'm going to be tracking. Be very scared of Sean Fraser. This man absolutely ruined our immigration system. And now, of course, because he's a Liberal, he ruined our immigration system. Oh, fantastic. Now we'll put you in charge of criminal justice reform. Canada is an absolute joke. Carney's kept 90% of the same cabinet as Trudeau. But we need to wake up and work together, unite. Canadian patriots can take this country back, but it's going to take a concerted effort. Please like, share, subscribe.